Hello, and welcome to Under 1000. My name's Thomas Flower, and each episode I'll read you a new piece of flash fiction. All of the stories are 1,000 words or less. Today, I'll be reading Death is Not the End. Please be aware that this episode contains strong language and deals with themes of death and suicidal thoughts. So if that's likely to upset you, or anyone that you're listening with, then you might want to skip this one. He was so young. That's what they said. Such a shame. That also. It shouldn't have been his time, they would insist, and I would merely stand there smiling and thanking them for their well wishes while inside I was screaming out, I know! But what the fuck am I meant to do about it? Of course, I wasn't angry at them. Not really. I can see that now. I was angry at a world which had taken you from me far, far before I thought it would, and which then saddled me with 2 children and an aching heart I thought I would never recover from. Actually, no. That's too romantic, poetic. My heart wasn't aching. I wasn't grieving for you in a quiet but dignified way, staring wistfully out of a window dressed in a black gown like some 1800s heroine from a romance novel. I was fucking distraught. I went to pieces. I barely functioned anymore, and it was only for the sake of my children and because of the kindness and pragmatism of a few close friends that I was able to pull through and survive myself. For a moment, I thought my life was over. For a second, I had wanted my life to be over. I couldn't see the point of living if you weren't with me. Still, those days are behind me now. It's not that the pain has gone, not yet at least. Perhaps it never will. In truth, I'm not sure I understand exactly what grief looks like or is meant to look like in this kind of circumstance. But for now, it's a pain I can live with. They say life goes on, and it does. If you're lucky, you're given a brief respite to try and make sense of how things are in the face of such a tumultuous change. And then, it's back to it. For me, it was a return to the world of spreadsheets, files, and endless, interminable emails back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it was fine. It was weird, but it was fine. I coped. I survived for a second time. But now there's something new. You had always told me that if anything happened I should feel free to see other people, that I shouldn't remain chained to a grave, that I should move on and find another. But isn't that what everyone says? It's not like you actually thought it would come true, I'm sure. It's not like I did either. We took it for granted as permission to do something that we both knew would never happen anyway. And so, when the pain had subsided and normal life resumed, I began to wonder whether you actually meant what you said, and how I would feel about trying it out. The problem was, at first at least, that I simply didn't trust that you would actually want me to move on emotionally. Or, I convinced myself that even if you had, you wouldn't want me to move on so fast. I grew terrified of being seen as the heartless slut abandoning a still warm body for the arms of another man. I don't know who I was terrified of seeing me like this. I suppose it was mostly myself. Certainly no one I knew said anything like that to me. They were fully in support, in fact. And besides, it was over 2 years before I even began dipping a toe into the dating pool again. I don't think anyone would have seen me as being callow, heartless, or too eager to move on. But I saw myself as that, and it made me feel confused, disgusted, even as I tried to meet someone new. The other problem, perhaps the bigger one, was that so many of these men didn't know what to do with me and all my baggage. People say they can understand and relate, and I'm sure they can on some level, but I don't think they can crawl inside my head and know just what I've been through in the way they think they can. It made for some difficult and stilted conversations, either with those who tried and failed to hide their mawkish curiosity, or with the others who told me they could understand just exactly what I was going through, but who made it painfully clear that they couldn't, as they handled me with kid gloves and assumed I had no interests outside of death and pain. Worse still, a small but irritating number made it clear how unhappy they were with me having baggage at all. They wanted me to come to them as a blank canvas that they could paint a happy life onto, and when I made it clear that I was already well drawn out by the life I had led, they would either grow frustrated or avoidant. It was a long slog to find someone, all told. But I did find someone, eventually, and he's just right for me, as I am now. He's not like you were, but I wouldn't want him to be. He's something new and different, for an undoubtedly new and different chapter of my life, and he doesn't pretend to know what I've been through, or feign an understanding he doesn't have. But he listens, and he hears me when I grieve or feel strange and upset, and he doesn't get jealous or uncomfortable, and he holds me as I let it out. And that's all I wanted, really. It's strange. I thought life without you would cease to function. But here I am in this new life, and it's different, and sometimes the fit feels funny, but life went on. At first that hurt, but now I'm grateful that it did. Your death was not the end. Thank you for listening to Under 1000. I'm your host, Thomas Flower. To follow the show online, look for Under 1000 Pod on Twitter or Facebook, or check out the website at under1000pod.com. If you'd like to support the show on Patreon, go to patreon.com/under1000pod, where you can sign up to read each month's stories in advance, as well as to have a thank you be read during these credits. The theme music is an instrumental version of In Between Days by Nick Tate and the Sharks. To hear the full song and more from the same EP, go to Nick Tate, Nictate, and thesharks.bandcamp.com, or search for them on your favourite streaming platform. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and that you'll join me again next time for some more super short fiction.